We are back for another episode of Backwoods Beta. This time, we're gonna do a question and answer based on episode number 1. We'll go through questions from the audience and just see where the discussion takes us.
This is exactly what I want to do with my life is crawl out of a cave, festooned with rubber like some sexual deviant.
Okay, there's a lot to be learned from foreign bodies in the rectum.
If that was effective training, I would be the best climber in the motherfucking world.
On industrial doses of tren.
You could grip with one hand and you could do all of those leisure time activities with the other hand. This is not Dr. Phil life advice. This is the shit that worked for us.
I think a lot of great questions.
Yeah.
Actually, we were saying that it's really actually quite impressive, the intelligence of this particular audience. The comments in episode 1 were really top tier. So the algorithm is clearly sending this out to the right people. So Thanks for being here. I'm a relatively new climber also, 38 years old and fat. And so I should fall right into the category of just climb and train grip. However, I notice that I keep tweaking my shoulder. So this is a recurring theme. Would it not be worthwhile to bulletproof my shoulders, so to speak, with a gym-specific routine? That's an easy, non-controversial comment to start with.
100%. Go to the gym, fix a shoulder, because it's like, I think, and that sort of recurred in some of the other comments. Like, I have this specific pain point, and it stops me from getting enough time on the wall. And if that's the case, 100%. Go to the gym, fix that problem.
Especially when you are on the earlier phase of the climbing progress curve, not getting injured really is one of your number 1 priorities, because injuries will 6 months at that stage is a huge setback.
I mean, you're literally in the exponential part of the curve.
Yeah.
Eventually, you will get injured. Like, it's an inevitable part of climbing. Quinn's gone through. I've gone through this.
Well, I've said this lots. Training through injuries, I've said it in other videos, is part of the game. I'm sort of seeing 2 categories of nuance that we're discussing. There is rehab, general preventative rehab, like what the commenter was asking,
right? And
then there's specific issue rehab, and both of which are reasons to weight train.
100%.
I think we can wrap this one up as we can basically say something like shoulders, they are so key and so important that I absolutely would recommend that you do a shoulder specific strength training routine.
And also, by the way, that was a fucking book of a comment. Like, thanks for writing that. That was, it's nice to see.
We've got a short one next. Almost turned into a nature documentary at 6 minutes and 56 seconds.
It's turning into a nature documentary again.
Plot twist. They're both girls. I've pondered about how much strength is needed for climbing for a while. I have digestive issues, and a side effect is that I flip-flop between being strong to being weak, a significant measurable difference, and this lasts for months. I've noticed that my climbing grade doesn't change as much as the delta in strength. However, I do notice that I can't progress as fast. Having strength lets me explore more movement. Yeah, there's a lot of good information in this comment, but I don't really disagree with anything. I found this comment interesting and valuable, so thank you. I'm 6'3", and I train in the gym 2 to 3 times a week. I guess it's better late than never to discover I don't need to train as much.
At 6'3", those are probably would be more, that time would be more productive spent in like actually climbing, I would say. Yeah, every pound of muscle you put on that's not in your forearm is
a problem. You got to be careful.
At that tall. Number 1, there aren't a lot of climbers in that height.
It's hard to be an elite climber at 6'3".
Yeah,
frankly.
you're
disadvantaged.
You're already struggling uphill, and I mean, there's 2 body morphs there, and one is much rarer than the other. They look big, like say Jimmy Webb, who looks big for a climber at that height. He's
light though, and he's
light. I think he's like my weight, and he's got fucking Christmas hands for forearms.
Yeah.
So it's like, and if you look at his knuckles, it's like those hands are seeing a lot. They're seeing that's the type of abuse you see in like career mechanics at 60. So
Jimmy has classic findings of arthritis in his hands when you see pictures of them.
I'd be careful putting on a ton of extra weight. Like
A long story short is that when you're assessing the body morph of elite climbers, it's hard to do through the screen, because anytime that you're very, very lean, you'll look relatively more muscular, but you'd be surprised at the weight on the scale. It's lighter than you'd think.
That's 40 extra pounds. That's a big fucking backpack to be carrying.
Yeah.
on small holds.
Nothing wrong with limit bouldering and taking long rests 3 to 5 minutes to avoid fatigue. That way, you give each try your max effort multiple times. Basic strength training.
Okay, now I should take this one. So at this point, that's really all I want to do. I do, the grip training to sort of counteract how bad that training is, but I love that. Like, if I was a dog, one repping on hard shit would be like me chasing balls and shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's
a Kong full of peanut butter.
Yeah. I look, I love it. It's the best. Unfortunately, in my experience,
I guess what?
Okay, no, if that was effective training, I would be the best climber in the motherfucking world. Like, straight up. If that made you
Also, if that was effective training, this wouldn't be the guy who would tell you that doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I would be evangelical about how
you'd be shouting it from the rooftops.
Yeah, that would be like what would I say?
The fact that you push back at all on that statement.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's just from
At this point,
yeah.
Look. All right, let me say another thing. If my entire, to the extent that like I've thought about training or whatever, the entire motivation for training was to be able to do as much one rep in or max effort climbing or whatever.
Yeah,
as possible.
You literally trained to one rep.
Yeah, I literally trained.
You trained to do more of what
just to counteract, the negative effects of doing that all the time, and also to build enough fitness that I could do that more. But like, I love that more than anything. And like, I'm telling you,
I'm laughing, guys, because you have no idea. How
right.
much he loves one repping. It's absurd. Like, I mean, you've gotten into fights with friends over it because your behavior at the boulders was so outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten
in. You got to fight with your brother, family, friends,
and we're not talking like yell at each other fights.
We're talking like I'm getting on a plane and leaving because I can't take your bad behavior anymore.
Right, exactly. So like.
That could just be a younger version of yourself.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say.
That's
right.
You guys are idiots.
But this is the problem.
One repping's the way.
But that's the problem. Is like, I'm telling you, bro. Like, yes, it's fun. It's the best. It's literal. It's climbing's the closest thing in climbing to like cocaine. Like, it is delightful. I love it more than anything. And I'm telling you, as an old, this is like AA for one repping dudes. Please, I know it's the best. Do one other thing. Do a grip besides that. And then you can one rep to your heart's content. You can have the best time climbing.
Well, you'll get to do more one rep.
And you'll get to do more one rep. This is the path to more one reps.
It's a trap. You're going to plateau and you'll have no way forward. And that is actually a lot of the impetus behind the Grip Gain series. Oh, Matt, okay, we got a compound question here. I've got several questions. Let's see. Number one, how about strength hypertrophy training for injury prevention? Okay, we answered that. I would suggest that you work the rotator cuff specifically, and let the large muscles of the shoulder, the deltoids, look after themselves.
Except for edge cases, you're probably going to get enough volume climbing to deal with every other big muscle.
Yeah, exactly. Pec major, pec minor. A few strength building blocks, maybe 2-4 week throughout the year. They don't build strength. In 4 weeks, you're not going to actually add significant.
I think it's going to be impossible to tell your progress there from.
You're having significant neuromuscular coordination gains, and then the other issue is that in 4 weeks,
Well, you've talked a lot about this. Look, you don't build strength. Really,
you can look at Miss Olympia, Olympia category bodybuilders, right? These guys are like maxed out on animal doses of tren, right?
Chicken and broccoli.
Yeah. Right, and in an entire year of training, those guys can put on in the realm of and they're adding 20 pounds a year.
Yeah.
Right.
So
of actual lean tissue, body wide.
Yeah.
And they're
So 4 weeks is not going to do much.
Yeah. So exactly. So and this is a competitive bodybuilder focusing on hypertrophy on industrial doses of tren, and they're adding on average in a 4 week period 2 pounds.
Yeah.
Right. And so
over their entire body.
Over their entire body. Yeah.
So think about what that means on your bicep.
Yeah. For an average person.
For an average person.
Yeah. In fact, guys, we've known people who use anabolic steroids for climbing.
Yeah.
The guys we've known who've done a cycle of steroids,
Yeah.
it's imperceptible.
Yeah.
And in fact, that actually just gets back to the thesis of like the strength, is bodybuilding really good
I would
for...
say this. Ethically, I'm not against doing steroids. And if I looked around and I saw case studies of obviously enhanced athletes that were way, way better, we'd have to have different podcasts.
Yeah.
Because I'd be doing this, but for, industrial doses of trend.
And there was one more on that question. We had, would your recommendation change for a sport climber? It's just a change in emphasis. There's no difference in bouldering and sport climbing in terms of the fundamental way that you'd prepare for that. Your emphasis shifts slightly. It's exactly analogous to if you're a cyclist and you're and you're training for
hills
versus sprints, right?
If anything, I'd be more hesitant to recommend weightlifting to sport climbers.
Yeah, because the athletes who are sprinters and the athletes who are hill climbers in cycling, they're born, they're not trained, right? Totally. The guys find their niche because that's the fiber type distribution in their muscles is genetically different. Yeah, they respond to training differently.
When I got a little bit lucky in this sense, but like when I was coming up, one of the first videos I saw was young Dave Graham. Yeah. At that point, literally the prodigy. Yeah. Beautiful small things, trying to do one-armers.
Yeah. I remember the video.
Right after he does, runs every hard line in Bishop, Spectre, Mandela, the Buttermilker, literally every hard thing at that point in Bishop, like walks up it, and then can't do a single one-armer in somebody's basement, and it was like, all right, I guess it's not one-armers, bro.
Well, there's another one. He's on that sport climb with that the Spanish guy on that like overhanging.
With Danny Andrade, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And the same thing in that Danny's just banging one arms. Yeah. Well, guess what?
Danny Andrade probably does 15 one-arms up that. What was it called?
It doesn't.
It was a super deep Alley Hulk or something.
Alley Hulk.
Alley Hulk extension.
Well, Graham got it done.
And Dave Graham got like fucking knee bar pad, 2 knee bar pads on his shins, knee bar pads on his shoulders, and he's crawling up it like a fly, and it's like, but the thing is, on some level, Seb would have looked at.
Seb would
Danny Andrade and been like, I want to be that guy.
I want to be that guy.
And I looked at Freak Show Dave Graham, fucking pads everywhere, and was like, well, this is obviously beautiful. This is the most, he's got fucking fans on like poles and ladders and everything. I was like, dude,
that gets me going.
Yeah, this is exactly what I want to do with my life is crawl out of a cave, festooned with rubber like some sexual deviant.
Like the Gimp in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, exactly.
Release the Gimp.
Yeah.
Bring out the Gimp.
He kept him in a cage at the bottom, but like different fucking, different lanes,
So carrying on, I've also been trying to fatigue myself as much as possible in my fingers just doing climbing drills, and doing this at least twice a week together with one route setting day and a technique focused day has made me feel the best I've ever felt on the wall. Well, your experience just matches ours exactly. Yeah. You guys mentioned hangboarding supplementary to fatigue the fingers even more. My problem with that is it's just incredibly boring. I do feel like it works though. Is there any way to make it less boring?
We both do, I think, something similar. Like I just have, so I get the crusher and the micro, and now I just do it in my office at work. I got whatever it is. I figured I've done everything I can to make it unboring.
Well, I just do what I'd be doing anyway.
Short of VR.
I mean, but like realistically, right? Everybody has a lot of leisure time. Everybody has leisure time in their day.
Yeah. Basically,
time when you're not doing something productive. Like, let's be honest.
And most of that you only need one hand for. So you can grip with one hand, and you can do all of those leisure time activities with the other hand.
I've got a setup where I've got a gripping machine that literally holds my body in the position, and all that I'm doing is engaging with my fingers. Yeah. And I just, I pop on something to watch, and I just sit there doing what I'd be doing laying in bed anyway.
Yeah, totally.
And instead I've got something in my hands, so yeah.
You absolutely have to figure out some way to make it less boring.
Less boring. It's never going to get less unpleasant, but just less boring.
Yeah, totally.
And there are a variety of strategies, but honestly, you can sit here chilling like we're chilling, and with the pulley setup in your fingers.
Yeah, I could be gripping
right now.
Yeah, totally.
So that's what I do. Loved the opinionated discussion. It almost feels like physicists explaining the fundamental principles of moving objects aren't that difficult after all. But what left me a bit puzzled, if climbing is training, how can I navigate around overuse injuries? Swollen ring finger PIP joint since months flares up with climbing, even though I reduced to 1 to 2 shorter bouldering sessions per week with a lower grade.
You got to rehab that shit.
Yeah, rehab it.
I mean, this is the thing you talk about. You've got to figure out a way to.
You got to find a way forward. In climbing, you're going to train through injuries. You're going to there's going to be injuries.
And I will say, the better your grip, the less susceptible you are to overuse injuries, because you're not forcing your hands into weird positions to try to get an increment of a little bit of extra gain or whatever. And the more resilient your fingers are to the abuse that comes with climbing. So it's
that's right. Yeah, because like swollen joint issues do resolve themselves, and they resolve themselves by your entire hand getting.
Yeah, and I've got my joints are swollen. Your joints are swollen.
Permanently.
Yeah, everyone's joints are. And now at the other side,
you don't want to end up like Jimmy though. He's got signs of significant arthritis.
Yeah, and the caveat here would be. There is going to be a point where whatever your specific edge case problem is, you have to.
We could do a whole.
That's got to be fixed by a medical professional.
Yeah.
But on average, and it's every person has to make a decision there about like what that point is. But on average, the advice would be.
Well, it's the advice that I do in the grip gain series, ergonomic training. Wait, so I need to stop training one arms? Unhappy smiley. Also tell Ben I stayed until the end, not because I'm autistic, but just stubborn.
I mean, I hate to tell you, bro. No. I mean, look. If you like training one arms, train one arms. I don't give a fuck.
It's not going to make you better at climbing, probably.
This is just sort of like. Look.
But why
the only thing we're saying here, we're idiots. We're two people who have, like, on some level, a certain direction that intrigues us in climbing, and that intriguing direction. It used to involve one arms for Dave. I never liked them, but Quinn liked one arms.
Yeah.
He's,
I have short. Well, you know what?
I have
short little Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, and I'm good at them.
I have fucking horrible pterodactyl wings, and
it didn't take me a lot of work to do them.
Right, exactly. And for me,
I was just attracted to something I was good at.
Yeah. So the angle here is like, this is not fucking Dr. Phil life advice. This is the shit that worked for us, and the shit that like didn't seem to measurably add. And I can say for us, you got a one arm hater and a one arm lover.
And both of us are saying they
both of us converge to no one arms. So if you love one arms, keep doing them. Do you?
Yeah, do you.
There's a lot of fish in the sea or whatever. But like for us, it didn't seem to add much. Like AKA nothing or even negative.
Yeah, even negative. Yeah. Can I get a little weight?
That's either Sam or that's Duke.
Duke of Haley is the username.
What up, Sam? What up, Duke?
I'm 6 foot, 195 from a few years of focused on bodybuilding and powerlifting, and it has always annoyed me when my climbing friends think I'm so good on X overhanging boulder or whatnot because I'm, in quotes, strong. Repping out 275 on a bench has literally inverse correlation to climbing, but they can't see it. All that strength I have from my strength training background is roughly worthless at the grades I climb, 512 in my gym. I've been applying your advice and just keeping it simple and doing grip training after climbing, and I've noticed pretty significant improvements.
Yeah, I mean, that would be, there's a fellow down in the gym that was same thing, like weight training for years, big guy, started climbing, and the bench press didn't do a ton for his climbing.
Yeah.
It was all grip all the time.
Well, I mean, it's true, okay? I mean, like, bodybuilders are increasingly, getting into rock climbing. Or check out Magnus Mitbo's channel for details.
Every week he's got a new.
Every week he's got a new freak from some other discipline coming and trying rock climbing, right? And even like Olympic level gymnasts and stuff like this.
Yeah, which originally we looked at the gymnasts like that's the solution.
Well,
They
yeah,
look
we used to
just like us.
We used to think that, right? And those Olympic level gymnasts, you can't get physically. I mean, that pretty well answers. Actually, you know what? We could have just the whole podcast could have just been watch that video that Agnes
totally.
Mippo did.
Yeah.
Olympic level gymnasts, you cannot get physically stronger specimens in exactly the ways you think would be useful for climbing.
Yeah.
And they're total dog shit.
Yeah.
Now,
to be fair,
I mean,
they've got a reasonable base to some degree.
But they're shockingly
Yeah,
bad.
yeah,
Shockingly
totally.
bad
Right,
at rock
yeah,
climbing.
yeah,
Shockingly
totally.
bad.
Yeah, and there are other things where, if you're an if you're just below Olympic level sprinter, you can move to football.
Well, yeah, but that's because
because there's
no complexity in football.
exactly.
Right, like it's the same event.
Right, you can't. Exactly. You can't do it in climbing.
No.
And if climbing had, another principal strength component that really, really, really mattered, you'd see gymnasts doing way better than they do.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? The only thing
exactly.
the only thing they're plausibly lacking, or not,
they're
much better. They're way better than
well,
professional climbers in every single aspect.
They're better than pro climbers in every aspect physically,
except grip.
And
they don't even have sloppy.
And
they don't even have terrible.
Well, they
grip.
do pommel horse.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
you look at their hands; they've got fucking.
Their grip is reasonable, but it's because it's wrist flexors, not finger flexors.
Yeah, totally.
Right. It's not elite specialized grip for gripping rocks.
Yeah.
They don't have they don't have any thumbs.
Yeah.
And they don't have finger flexors.
What's really, again, I mean, you kind of made this point a second ago, but like, it is shocking.
It's shocking how bad they do.
Yeah. I would not have predicted that. My model of the world was incomplete.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was a data point that when you're introduced, at least when I was first introduced to it, I needed to spend a lot of time thinking on, because my model of how I understood climbing was not complete.
A lot of us, it defaulted to variations on gymnast exercises.
Yeah.
Because we thought that was a solution. And boy, that didn't work out.
No, it didn't work out.
That didn't tend to be
didn't work out. All right. Which underperforming climber were you talking about popular on Reddit?
Okay. So
I'm gonna go a different tact here. I talk about cases at work all the time. Right. I'm talking about patients. Okay.
Hit him with the HIPAA logic.
It's part of the profession. The whole point is that it's an anonymized case study that you can learn from. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Well, but we're not. It's if I see a case at work, you don't come on the internet and start
let me tell you about this person XYZ, and it's
by their name, Mr. So and so.
Yeah, so you can go bother them
with their with the crazy thing they showed up with, and the thing that they did that was like
the glass bottle in the
bowels. Exactly. Okay. Right. Okay. So that's a good example, right? So, it's a recurring case in the hospital. Somebody has to come to the operating room to have a foreign body extracted from their rectum. And you might want to talk about. You might be doing a talk on foreign body extraction from the rectum.
Yeah.
And you might want to talk about the differences in the foreign body, the size, the different presentations you've seen, the nuance, and how to get it out. Which ones require a laparotomy? Which ones you can do with a rigid scope?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot to be learned from foreign bodies in the rectum, none of which would involve coming on here and naming the people.
Yeah, totally. Like so you could go bother this guy in the street.
Well, it's an insane thing, right? If we're going to bring up an example for a point, it's going to be, done in that professional way. I'm not going to, I'm not going to bring up so and so. You know
what I mean? It's just sort of it's rude, and are you going to trust the anecdote if you get a name on it? Like it's and you can study it yourself. To some degree, I understand the inclination to want to be able to study it yourself, but like
as a scientist,
as
sure.
a scientist, but it's an insane thing to do to be like
Yeah. Okay, this is another good one. I think many people are terrible at getting the intensity right to make appropriate physiological changes to efficiency to improve climbing just by climbing. With weights, it's very easy for someone to become athletic in a completely brain-dead way. Also, weights are very time efficient. People often end up doing junk mileage or the same style of problem they like and bottleneck their physiologic adaptations. I think if you want to be a promoter of just climb, you should also be discussing what the most effective form of just climbing is. Education on RPE, energy systems, muscle groups in a just climb context would go a long way for the physical side of things. I do overall agree that just climbing is the best overall approach for most people. I mean, I did, first of all, I did a whole YouTube series literally on what was asked for there.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's like,
What I would say is that entire comment was basically valid.
yeah,
I actually don't disagree with anything.
Yeah. Everybody knows somebody that does a lot of junk mileage and never gets any better.
Yeah.
And if just climbing was the solution, it's like, all right, number one, it's just climbing and grip.
Yeah,
and grip.
and grip.
Like, and I think that's happened in a few of the questions where it's like, well, you're just, it's like, no, just climb and grip. Grip is like carrying a lot of weight there. Maybe, you know.
In terms of progress?
Yeah.
More.
Yeah, exactly.
Just climbing, you'll plateau.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like,
if you want to carry on with persistent long-term progress, that's actually not the just...
Right, and so I think this is where they're emphasizing the wrong things or they're reading the wrong things into it. We're getting caught in the battle of weight training, measurable growth, science versus just climb, hippy dippy, desert rat shit, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's half, just climb, do the real thing, and the other half, like grip. Did you see the spreadsheet? Like, did you see the tracking?
No, he didn't. He's not a subscriber.
All right.
They're underestimating.
The tracking is absurd. Like, I tried to reverse engineer the tracking. It's insane.
As a literal data scientist.
As somebody who spends a lot of time trying to pick apart.
What Ben is referring to is I made a video for on the member side of things where I actually showed just what a grip workout looks like for me, a typical workout.
Yeah. Not a lot of hippy dippy just climb.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking bullshit floating around there. It's I mean it was fully Green Goblin face.
Yeah, there's no such thing as passive training.
To get to that workout and still talk to the camera. So like
that's quite an inside statement.
Yeah. This is only
100
people are gonna get this or whatever. But
yeah. All right, hold on. We gotta have a cookie. We're gonna warm up the hands. We're taking a cookie break. That's been a marathon.
Yeah, no, fuck, Jesus.
I live in the UAE, and just watching the background is painful. You are lucky to live close to such stunning places.
Yeah, dog, I live in Los Angeles. No fucking shit.
Yeah, Ben spends most of his year in downtown Los Angeles riding public transit.
Yeah. I'm gonna like, I'm not trying to get you deplatformed, so I'm gonna keep some of my opinions to myself there. Yeah, it's fucking sick up here for sure.
Yeah, it's not lost on me. There's nowhere I'd rather be than here. I come out here not even to climb, just to chill. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Also, super cool that somebody's checking us out from UAE. That is, like literal. Yeah, like we could drill a hole, I think, through the plant. Like that stupid movie.
Yeah. What? There's several.
Yeah, there's several. The reboot of the reboot of Total Recall.
Yeah.
It was terrible, but anyway, they had like a shuttle.
Yeah. I remember that. I kind of liked it. It wasn't as good as the first one, but
that was the issue.
Yeah. It had that's a hard standard to live up to.
Yeah.
What was the that like Krang belly?
What do you want, Mr. Quay?
Well, to go back to that guy who's having a boring time gripping, fucking hit that Total Recall.
Yeah, hit Total Recall.
That's good for like a week at least.
This is from a local Tristan. Shout out. I enjoyed this. I think Ben's point about how you climb is critical, though. I am a guy pulling on that one hard move over and over again and never getting stronger as a result. I switched to the rope gym in part to rehab my addiction. Also, it can be hard indoors to find problems that really push you physically. Often even hard ones have somewhere to put a heel or something that just lets you climb without anything close to max strength. It ends up being a lot of tricky moves that don't actually force adaptation. The advice of climb falls short for those folks who climb 2 to 3 times per week and are stuck on a plateau. I think there's a lot of advice on how. Okay, before you jump in, I mean...
No, look, I'm going to be gentlemanly here.
No, I mean, you missed half of the advice. Just climb.
And grip, motherfuckers!
And grip! You're not plateaued because you're one repping.
Yeah.
Hey,
The problem is climbing is, in our experience, climbing is sufficient stimulus for your back and buys.
Exactly.
Not your fucking grip.
not your hands.
Your grip needs more work. It always needs more work.
Well, it's also that you don't get the stimulus correct. So
100%.
the point is the root setting doesn't actually give you correct stimulus for your hands. Never can, never will. But outdoor doesn't either, because you're just not going to hit the same muscle type over and over and over again.
You just can't get the dose right.
You can't, exactly. You can't get the dose right. And so, yeah. And so, I think there's something else though to the question there that
Yeah, another point I was going to bring up.
Well, the point is that if you're struggling with the root setting at your gym, because remember, root setting is designed to keep customers happy, not to make climbers strong. That's the goal of your average commercial gym, is not to generate a generation of strong climbers. It's to keep people paying their membership dues, right? And those are at odds sometimes.
Honestly.
We have thanks for this episode and the nuanced discussion. I'm looking forward to your response to some of the Q&A, especially around strength training as a proactive measure for injury prevention, basically allowing a higher lifetime climbing volume and skill development because you are less afraid of exploding your shoulders. And so
I like that comment.
Well,
Exploding your shoulders is a nice fucking phrase.
I mean, that just summarizes.
Yeah, I think we kind of hit that.
We've hit that to death. But I added, I responded directly online. I'm an older climber, and I started late. I'm still on the upslope of my performance curve. Every season has been better than the last in terms of what I've accomplished climbing-wise. I'm obsessed with three things: climbing, gripping, and not getting injured. It really is. But yeah, I couldn't agree more with the comment though. Oh yeah. So this is the commenter, Andrew Arthur 45, who asked the original question that prompted us to do a podcast episode, like the inaugural podcast episode. Anyway, so Andrew Arthur 45 says, "Thanks for answering my question. Lots of great points made. Like you said, your channel has been a source of reason in the madness for me. Also, this video was the last evidence I needed for my neurodiversity."
He's subscribed?
Yeah.
Yeah, dog, you're subscribed. The R-squared value there is nearing 1 at this point.
I said the autism screening questionnaire, the standard test that's used, only has a sensitivity of 77%. Being a Mo-Beta insider, it's a sensitivity of 100%. So you're among friends. All right, man.
Let's actually climb some shit.
Let's go put our models of reality to the test.
Yeah, I mean,
it's good temps.
It is good temps, but
it's austere here today.
It's a better Gavin day than it's likely to be a climbing day for sure. Plus side, still got cookies.
One cookie.
2 cookies for the king of the marshmallow test.